Hello everyone and welcome back to another Power Legends Tycoon video. So today, I'm going to make a tier list, alright? There's a lot of powers in this game. A lot of powers that you can store in your backpack, and these are permanent powers, abilities that you don't need a Tycoon in order to use. They aren't based on any sort of Tycoon. So I'm going to make a tier list based on basically how good each move is, alright? So yeah. Let's begin. So yeah, Acid Explosion. Okay, so Acid Explosion, it's another close range ability, which also leaves them with like a poison effect that does wear off after a bit. So let's see here. That is a 151.5 damage total. That is not bad at all. I'm going to put that at C tier, okay? It's got a poison effect, but in terms of area of effect, it does seem to be lower than Acid Range. Also, it doesn't have a slowness effect. Also, damage is way below Acid Gas. As you can see, it does this. It basically creates an area around you where enemies just constantly take damage. We'll use it on you. Okay, it does 300 damage. I thought it just did 200. That is powerful. Okay. And then we can already use it again. Yeah, that's 300 freaking damage total. Okay, wow, that actually surprised me because last time I checked it, I thought it was 200. Obviously, was wrong last time. So yeah, Acid Gas, 300 damage, close range ability. Basically, it moves. Basically, how easy it is to escape from depends on how fast you are. That one is going straight into A tier because of its super high damage and really quick area or really quick cooldown. You can pretty much spam this super high damage move. Okay, this is extremely powerful. So definitely worth A tier. Acid Rain. Acid Rain's another good one. I like this one. Basically, its range depends on where you want to hit. You know, it's a long range attack with a rather large area of effect, and it just does constant damage. Now, it is nowhere near as damaging as Acid Gas. It does about 120 damage, so not the highest, but it does have a slowness effect, which is pretty nice. And the cooldown is not the worst out there. Okay, so Acid Rain. Acid Rain is definitely not A tier by itself. It's really good if you add it with a combo, but by itself, it's not really that effective late game because it's slower damage, but yeah, the slowness effect is definitely effective. But if it's the only move you have, it does have a somewhat sizable cooldown as well as low damage, so it's not the best move to use on its own. So I will put that in C tier with Acid Explosion, though I do think that it is more effective than Acid Explosion. Next up, Barrel Toss. Now, what Barrel Toss does is basically you throw a barrel of toxic waste. Now in terms of area of effect, or range, that's basically all it does. Alright, what I showed you was about as far as you can throw it. So, yeah. Lame there. As you can see, it didn't go the full distance. It does have a limit to how far it can fly. But in terms of cooldown, it does have a pretty nice cooldown. Okay, so got this guy. As you can see, as long as they're standing in there, they'll take some poison damage. And it dealt about 82 damage, alright? This move, I gotta stick it in F tier. Now, honest, in terms of area of effect, it's not that good. In terms of damage, not that good. Accuracy, not that good. Range, I have had some trouble. You know, it's not the best in terms of range. The only thing that's good about it is it has a fast cooldown, but beyond that, it's not very effective. Boomerang shot.
And I want to give a big thanks to Void for giving me video footage of both Boomerang Shot and the Super Beam, since I don't have either. So, yeah. Thank you for the help.
In terms of damage, it's not the worst, but I'm still giving it F tier because it is super easy to dodge. In terms of practicality, not the best. If you manage to stun them with something like Acid Rain or another stunning ability, yeah, you could definitely get a good hit with it. You could definitely get 2 good hits with it, because if it comes back and hits them again, yeah, but in terms of usability in PvP, not the best. Although, in terms of grinding, I could definitely see this move being good for grinding. Like NPCs, so yeah, PvP, I would say it's definitely F tier in terms of PvP, but I think we can raise it to D tier because NPCs walk straight towards you, so if you throw it straight at them, it'll hit them twice, like almost always. Okay? So I could see that being actually pretty okay early game for PvP. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that in D tier. Okay, next up is Candy Toss.
And I want to give a big thanks to Ali. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. But big thanks for helping show off all of the Christmas limiteds. So yeah, thanks a lot for that.
Okay, here's Candy Toss. Yeah, it's basically similar to the Icicle Throw attack that Frostbite has, okay? Candy Toss, I will stick in here, because it does have some decent damage, okay? Next up, Dark Flame. 200 damage total. It basically fires a stream of flames. I think I missed for a second there. Okay, so it does about 210 damage, okay? There is also a limit to how far it can hit, alright? So the effect extends. Alright. So, I would definitely say this is a medium range attack. So you can use it from somewhat of a distance, but I would definitely recommend using it close range because 210 damage is a lot. Alright, if you're early game and you don't have 210 health to spend on trying to tank a move like this, definitely try to escape it. I am sticking this one straight in A tier. Alright? This move is powerful by itself. Now I made a video showing that how Dark Flames could be used in an overpowered combo. Now, this isn't even considering it as a combo, because even when all I had was Dark Flames and all I used was Dark Flames, I was taking down everyone, straight up. Even late game, 200 damage is pretty effective. So, if it's by itself, it is definitely A tier. Next up, Dark Horde. Dark Horde, I'm gonna stick in B tier. Now, it does 750 damage. That's extremely high damage, okay? It will go through the walls of Tycoons, but it loses points for being slow. It is a slow attack, and it does not affect NPCs. So, I would definitely say this is B tier, because it is still extremely powerful in PvP. It's useless in grinding levels, it's useless in grinding cash and shards, but it will definitely hit hard in PvP. If it does hit, because it's also pretty slow, but definitely worth getting. So that's going in B tier. Next up is Dark Tentacles. We have Dark Tentacles for 900 T1 shards. This is also a move you can get temporarily if you kill enough green-eyed demons. Like, basically what it does is, it did about 50 damage to him. So it's not the hardest to dodge, because if you're aiming right on them, You know, it also doesn't have the fastest cooldown, and if the total damage is 50, well, yeah, probably a good thing this move doesn't cost a lot, because that would kind of suck. Dark Tentacles, due to its range, and not the best in terms of damage, but due to its long range, I would definitely say it is D tier. By itself, you could definitely get a good hit. Not the worst in terms of area of effect. Yeah. Next is Electric Field, which we have right here. Now this one creates a field of electricity around you, which slowly damages enemies. Only does 50 damage. Nothing really too special about this one. It's just the field of electricity around you. Somewhat decent area of effect, but there are better moves for that. With range, not the best in terms of range. Yeah, honestly, nothing too special about it. That would put it in D tier or higher. So yeah. By the way, I do want to say that, you know, F tier is not worthless. Definitely get the F tier abilities as well, and if you can combine them, and if you can use them effectively, go right ahead. They aren't useless, they're just, compared to the others, they're not as good. Probably the only true stunning ability in that you can get early game, alright? Basically, it does 25 damage and then stuns them for like a split second. There are better stuns in the game, but this is one of the good. This is a complete stun. It locks them in place completely, aside from like another move. You know, this and one other move locks an enemy in place completely long enough for you to use another move. So I will be sticking this in C tier. In terms of damage, not very good damage. It does have some decent cooldown. Not very good damage, not very good area of effect. I would definitely say this is C tier. Well, C or D tier. You know what? For the range, since it's such a low range, even though it is a full stun, it's such a low range. I am going to go ahead and stick it here. It's far from useless, and I use it when I've got when I'm only using permanent abilities. I definitely use it, but in terms of other abilities like Acid Rain, I would definitely prefer Acid Rain to Electric Stun because of its range and the higher area of effect. And the more damage, okay? So yeah, by itself, not the best. Fiery Volcano. So next up is Fiery Volcano. It is the T2 Mystery Box Legend. And yeah, basically what this is a long range move that summons a volcano where you target. I'm gonna have to stick this in D tier because it has some decent damage. It's got good damage, it's unlimited range, but the accuracy, the ability to dodge it, it's either D or F tier. Honestly, I'd say it could go either D or F tier. You know what? I'm sticking this in D tier because there's an even worse move. You'll see why, okay? So that's going in D tier. Fire Fist. Fire Fist is a ranged, basically it's a ranged fireball, alright? It doesn't have the best area of effect, but not the worst either. Okay, yeah, it does around 48 damage, alright? In terms of damage, basically around 48. Yeah. So, yeah. Fire Fist, I would say it's only really good as a starter move, which makes it pretty nice that, you know, you get it on your second day. Honestly, I'd say that's fitting. Compared to the others on this list, I did get a lot of use out of this early game, but compared to the others on this list, I gotta stick it with F tier, with Barrel Toss and Electric Field. Okay? Definitely a useful ability early game, but once you get some more moves in your inventory, something like Dark Tentacles, just replace it. Flame Slash. It is a mid-range. Alright, I'd say that's like mid to long range ability, but as you can see, it only did about like 52 damage. And it doesn't really have the shortest of cooldowns, so yeah. But it flies through him, and I believe it will hit anything. So yeah. So I believe that means in terms of area of effect, yeah, it'll just go right through anyone. And it always deals the same damage, no matter how many enemies it passes through. Also F tier. In terms of damage, it's not the best in terms of damage. The range is really the only good thing you got with that. Next up is Gift of Cash. Okay, this one is Gift of Cash. Alright, it drops a big present, which, drops cash, 1,000 cash each. This one creates thousands of cash, so I'm going to stick that in A tier. Simply because of the unique effect of giving cash. It's not the best in terms of damage, and it has a really high cooldown, but in terms of... But that would be a really good move for rebirthing. Like, when you rebirth your Tycoon, you want to get some things, that's a really good move to use. Well, I guess since that's the only good thing it has, I guess it could go down to B tier, but that is really a good move to have, so yeah. Compared to the others, in terms of effectiveness, and there are better ways to get cash, so, I'm just going to stick that in B tier instead. Ground Slam. Now, Ground Slam is a close range move that just slams the ground, and it does 65 damage, it seems. Okay? Basically to all around you. It has pretty good area of effect, but range isn't as good. Now, it does kind of look like it aims long range, but no. With a 22-second cooldown. Not bad. I'd say that's D tier. It's alright. It's just not the best, but it does have some decent area of effect. I would definitely say it's an improved... It's basically a stronger version of Electric Field. A much stronger but shorter version of Electric Field. So yeah, I'll stick it in D tier. Next, Meteor Shower. This one is interesting. In terms of damage, I cannot tell you how much damage it does. I'll try. But what this does is it creates basically a shower. It rains meteors down on the opponent. Or, no. It rains meteors down in the area you're aiming at. But the meteors are random. So this is super inaccurate. Would not recommend as a main weapon. Alright, if you want to throw it in with your combo just for the chance to deal extra damage, do that. I would definitely recommend that. I do that myself. But using this as your main weapon, not a recommendation. As you can see, we just used it twice, didn't hit anything. Yeah. I couldn't tell you the damage. I think it'll one-shot even these guys, so it does deal more than 600, maybe? I'll have to check with you guys on that. But yeah. This is the Tier 3 Epic. And it's going in F tier. Now, I'm not going to say it totally sucks. In terms of damage, it is extremely high damage. But the problem is rarely hits. I have seen a bug where the first meteor always hits where your mouse is pointing. I've only ever seen this once. I believe if it does do that, it is a bug, I believe. Because I don't think it's supposed to do that. It's supposed to be super inaccurate. In terms of damage, it is extremely high. Okay? Extremely high damage. It will one-shot most players. But doesn't matter how strong you are. If you can't hit your opponent with it, it's useless. So, now, I have used it before in grinding, like, getting cash and shards and stuff. It very occasionally will kill the NPCs. But yeah, it doesn't even kill any. It doesn't one-shot any of the bosses if you're lucky enough for it to hit. And yeah, in terms of against players, don't expect it to hit. If you want to use it, just add it to the end of whatever combo you want, just for the chance of dealing a little bit more damage. But beyond that, it is not good as a main attack. Next up, Multi-Orbital Strike. Now, it says it's powerful, and it's alright. Multi-Orbital Strike. I'd say that's about 125 total damage. Alright, it just creates those 3 beams wherever your mouse is at. So overall, not the worst move. Alright, basically as long as they are around, like close to the beams, they will get hit. As you can see, that only did like a little bit of damage. So once you basically leave the beams, you won't get hit. And it also doesn't do any kind of like slowness effect. So the total damage is alright, but it's not the hardest to dodge. It doesn't slow them down at all, so, you know, anyone that wants to escape this move can very freely do so. So, not the best move by itself, but it is pretty good but it'll be alright if you can combo it with some kind of stun. I would say this is a good C tier move. Well, yeah, C tier move, because it does deal a lot of damage, but it is damage over time, and if you don't combine it with a stunning ability, it'll be easily escaped. But you can still deal some decent damage with this. It doesn't have the biggest cooldown, so that's good, you know. But I would definitely say it's below B tier. Next up, multi-hand shot.
And big thanks to Adasir for helping show 3 of the 4 badge powers because I was not able to get any of them. So yeah, big thanks to him for his help. And I hope I pronounced your name right.
They are in the multi-hand. It's dropped by the multi-hand demons, and it does about 145 damage and a 30-second cooldown. Multi-hand shot deals a lot of damage. I would definitely say it's C-B tier. I think putting this in B tier would be pretty fair. Not the best on our list, but yeah. Multiple blasts, you know, multiple quick orbs. It's got good range, like unlimited range. Area of effect, not the best. I think it'll be fair to put that in C tier. Next up is pull beam. What pull beam does is it allows you to pull enemies towards you. It does go off the mouse's aim, and it deals about not a lot of damage though. So yeah, it can work as a sort of stun, slowing them down. 50 damage. I'm gonna go ahead and stick this in. I'm gonna go ahead and stick this in D tier. In terms of damage, it's not very high, but I've been hit with this so many times and I hate it every single time. Because when you kill if it's a move that they're hitting you with and they die, you will continue to get hit with it for several seconds even after they die. Alright? It's annoying as heck. So I will stick it in D tier, simply because it's not the worst thing ever by itself. It's basically similar to a stun. But if that's the only thing you got, no. Santa's Surprise. Okay, so the Christmas Limited Ultimate is Santa's Surprise. That did about, 85 damage and is pretty decently ranged. Not unlimited range, but pretty decently ranged. Decent damage, but really only good for grinding, not the hardest to dodge. Decent area of effect. I will stick this in C tier. Shuriken Barrage. This one is basically if a shotgun and a machine gun had a baby, and that baby was raised by ninjas. Okay, that is the Shuriken Barrage. It is a medium range power, as you can see. However, it does have one glaring flaw, and that is its range. In damage, now damage is pretty good. It deals alright damage, but it does not shoot where your mouse is aiming. So I could be aiming behind myself, but it would shoot ahead of me. It shoots where your character is looking, meaning in order to really use this, you would need shift lock. And for the long-ranged abilities, like say moves like Dark Tentacles and, other more powerful long-ranged abilities, this one, you don't really want to use shift lock for them. But yeah, in terms of damage, that was about 175 damage, which honestly not bad. 175 damage, that's a decent chunk. C tier, I would say that's fair to put in C tier. Like, the fact that you need shift lock to use it, not very good, but if you aren't using any other move on this list, you can risk using shift lock. You could use this pretty effectively by keeping the shift lock on. So yeah, I would say C tier is a good position for Shuriken Barrage. Super Beam. Now, let me clarify something. I do not like pay to win, but thankfully, Power Legends Tycoon, it doesn't matter how many Robux you spend, the space users win, okay? So yeah, the Space Tycoon beats out pay to win. So pay to win is balanced, so yeah, it is a permanent power, so I do have to include it in this list. I will stick it in A tier because it has a fast cooldown and it is one-shot. It will one-shot anything, okay? A tier. I don't like pay to win, but I'm trying not to be biased here, so since it is a permanent ability, I will include it in A tier. Next up is the End. With a 0.1% chance of getting it, it is definitely the hardest power to get in the game, or the most rare. What it does is this is what it looks like. Alright, you're right there. They can't use any abilities or attacks while they are affected by it. What this move is supposed to be is a one-shot. It is basically like the Super Beam, but you don't buy it using Game Pass, but you don't buy it for Robux. You get this with shards. It is basically a non-Game Pass Super Beam. However, it does have a pretty hefty cooldown. The End is also a one-shot, and it's not a Robux one. I will say though, if it will be blocked if you have a shield up when you get hit with it, but if you don't have a shield up, it will kill you, and everything else that doesn't have a shield up. Okay? Time Clock. Now this one creates a clock above you, which does about 40 damage per hit. Alright, it's a time bomb. Alright. Okay, so while you're inside it, it will slow down enemies. Right there. And yep, 40 damage to these guys. Okay, and a 30-second cooldown. I would say this is F tier. It's not the worst, but it does have a slowness effect. It's just it has never for me been difficult to escape from, even early game. And in terms of damage, not really too impressed with it. So yeah, I'm going to stick that in F tier, simply because a 30-second cooldown for 40 waiting 30 seconds to deal 40 damage for something that could somewhat easily be escaped. Now, it's not the easiest thing to escape. Alright, it's definitely harder to escape than multi-orbital strike, but I would definitely say it's not as bad as anything in D tier, so I'm going to stick that in F tier. Next up, Toxic Spill. Okay, so that's Toxic Spill. Okay, so a 20-second cooldown. We'll test the damage. It seems to fire 3 blasts. Okay, that does about 20 damage. Toxic Spill fires 3 orbs, which deal some damage. Not the best. Range is unlimited, but not the best in terms of damage. I'm going to also stick that in F tier. Next up is Tree of Chaos. Alright, so Tree of Chaos. It's a big tree. This one seems to be like Volcano. Now, since this one creates a bunch of presents that fall, you're not going to hit them with. You're not going to hit a single target with every single present. But it is basically just another fiery volcano. I will stick that in C tier because it has the damage of Meteor Shower, but with the accuracy of Fiery Volcano. So it's stronger than Fiery, more accurate than Meteor. It's going in C tier. Next up is Ultimate Beam. Now, what the Ultimate Beam does is basically that it creates several beams of energy just straight ahead wherever your mouse is aiming at. Alright? Now, these beams do 50 damage each. It's a 1% chance you get it from opening these. You get these free every 10 minutes. As you can see, we just got some shards. One of them's attacking us. Okay. In terms of range, I would say it's about mid-level. Nothing really ultimate about the Ultimate Beam. Now, in theory, if you were to take the total damage of all of these attacks and just add it all up, it would be pretty high, I'm sure. But that you'll never deal the total amount of damage, simply because, well, as you can see, not only is this move very easy to dodge, but it flies out from your opponent. You're not going to deal the total amount of damage you can with this move, unless, the enemy that you're trying to hit is deliberately trying to get hit. So yeah, good on paper, but in terms of practical use, not very. And ultimate, it is not. Straight into F tier. You will basically only deal maybe 100 damage with this attack. If you get the total amount of damage that this move can do, yeah, you'd get like 400 or something. But you're never going to deal 400 damage unless the person you're targeting is trying to take the 400 damage. And even then, it will be hard for them to do it. It'll be hard for them to get hit by every single beam. Okay? Nah. Not worth going for. Honestly, Ultimate Beam and Super Beam need to switch names. Or just call this one Sky Beam or something like that. Make it a common or something. Next up, Void Ball. Void Ball and Void Blast I will stick in D tier together. Void Ball is a long-range projectile attack. It's kind of slow there, but doesn't have really the best area of effect. And it also deals about 42 damage. However, it's got an extremely fast cooldown, like 5 seconds. So you can pretty much spam this. I would say Void Blast is more of a weaker version of Acid Gas because it also has a lower tier damage like Void Ball, does 60 damage. So a little bit higher, but still nowhere near Acid Gas. But it's also got extremely fast cooldown of 5 seconds, so you can pretty much spam it. In fact, by the time it's done using the move, you can use it again. So you can quite literally just spam this. However, because of its low damage, not really the best strategy. Because in terms of damage, they both aren't too good. They do have a decent cooldown, but beyond that, honestly not too impressed. Honestly, they are nothing. Neither of these are anything to really worry about in terms of a fight. By themselves, Wall Raise. Wall Raise, basically what it does is it raises a wall for a few seconds, stopping basically anyone from moving through. Okay? Doesn't do anything more than that. It is basically just how it sounds. It is literally just raising a wall. It can stop opponents from moving in a certain direction, though it is probably only going to buy you like maybe a second, half a second. And in terms of it being the only move you have, would not recommend. So, yeah. By itself, it's the only move you got, you aren't winning any fights, okay? You are not going to win any fights with Wall Raise. The only thing that Wall Raise can actually be used for is blocking your opponent. Maybe stopping someone from running away, or, slowing them down when they're trying to run away, or slowing them down when they're trying to run to you. But even then, it will be for you'll maybe get half a second more time. Okay? So yeah, Wall Raise, definitely an F tier move. Next up, Wall Slam. $118.5? Yep, 30 damage total. This move does 30 damage. However, it is long range. You can hit them. It's got a good area of effect. So, you can be pretty accurate with it even from a distance. But in terms of damage, it is definitely on the lower end. Like 100% lower end in terms of damage. The last move, I will be sticking that in D tier because the damage is not good. But it does have some good area of effect and really good range. Not the worst cooldown either, alright? This was also one of my first ones with Dark Flames. It's definitely okay early game, but late game, don't bother.
So yeah, this is our tier list. All the permanent moves in the game. So yeah, if you're curious about how good each move is, you can just refer to this video.
So yeah, that is the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please be sure to leave a like, hit subscribe, and once again, big thanks to Acidir, Void, and Ali for all helping with this video. I would not have been able to get this video done at all if not for them. And I do want to apologize that it's taken me so long to upload. I was so busy last week. So yeah, that's why I wasn't able to upload last week. So yeah, anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed. Hope this helps. If it has, please be sure to leave a like and hit subscribe, as both of those really help the channel. We are getting so close to 500 subscribers. And yeah, with that, my friends, sayonara.